the live webinar on Cybersecurity 2025, Building Skills to Tackle Evolving Threats. I'm truly delighted to see so many of you here today because this conversation couldn't be more timely. We are living in an era where digital transformation is not just accelerating, it's reshaping how businesses operate, how governments function, and even how we live our daily lives. But alongside these opportunities comes an equally rapid rise in risk, from sophisticated cyber attacks to evolving data privacy concerns. The reality is clear. Cybersecurity is no longer just a technical afterthought. It has become a strategic priority for every professional and every organization. And that's exactly why we are here today. We are here to understand what's changing in cybersecurity landscape. What are the challenges that are ahead? And most importantly, how you can build the skills to stay ahead of these threats in 2025 and beyond. So allow me to briefly introduce myself. My name is Dr. Shuchi Dhir, and I bring over 17 years of teaching and mentoring experience across the fields of computer science and cybersecurity. I am working as a senior lecturer at Regenesys Institute. It's an institute which is dedicated to empower learners with globally relevant industry-aligned education. At Regenesys, I work with cybersecurity team to prepare professionals for the realities of today's digital environment, blending technical expertise with real-world problem solving. It has been incredibly rewarding to mentor learners from diverse backgrounds, many of whom are already making significant contributions in in different sectors. And before joining Regenesis, I had privilege to work in Edith Cowan University, Australia, and I was teaching Masters in Cybersecurity program. And along with that, I have also taught at University of San Diego, California, and SNHU University, which is Southern New Hampshire University at California. So throughout, from past 5, 6 years, I've been teaching cybersecurity, and theoretically, practically, I have been assisting students in understanding these concepts. I have done my PhD in biometric authentication and cryptographic systems, but above all, I'm passionate about using education as a tool to develop resilient, ethical, and future-ready cybersecurity professionals. And Regenesis, is the platform, provides me the platform to align my passion. So Regenesis, is, let me introduce the institution, which is behind this webinar, Regenesis Business School. It was founded in 1998 by Dr. Marco Cervancha, Dr. Penny Law, and Mr. William Viven. And Regenesis has grown into one of the world's leading business schools with a clear and inspiring mission to make the world a better place by developing conscious leaders and managers. Now, what sets Regenesis apart is the holistic approach to human development. And we believe true leadership isn't just about intellectual growth, it's about nurturing every dimension of a person: intellectual, emotional, spiritual, financial, and physical. And over the years, the vision has expanded into full group of institutions that provide a comprehensive suite of services to our students. So as you can see in the diagram, which is there on your screen. So whether you are pursuing business, technology, or cybersecurity, Regenesis is committed to equip you not with the knowledge, but also with the mindset and skills to thrive and to lead consciously. And if today's discussion sparks your curiosity about, building a dynamic, career-focused journey in cybersecurity, I warmly invite you to connect with us at Regenesys and explore all the opportunities that we offer. So let's walk us through what I'll be covering in today's webinar. It's going to be technical. And first, we will be talking about the threat landscape in 2025. What has changed? We will try to explore how digital transformation and global connectivity is reshaping the security needs. Next, we will dive into rising threats in AI and cloud environments, areas where many professionals are both, they see both opportunity as well as growing risk. Along with that, we will also discuss case studies. We will talk about data protection and privacy regulations because staying compliant is no longer optional. It's a business imperative in today's legal framework. And from there, we will talk about zero trust architecture, what it means, why it matters, and how organizations, worldwide are adopting it as the new security standard. We'll also talk about a case study, right? But you know, this isn't, just about theory. Today's webinar, we will also discuss about the practical skills that are required for cybersecurity professionals. We will highlight the tools, the techniques, and the applied learning you need to master. We'll then zoom into cybersecurity in critical sectors such as finance, healthcare, and government, where vulnerabilities can have the most serious consequences, right? And finally, we will talk about how you can take up, your career in this field. So, students, we have a packed agenda ahead, full of insights and takeaways that I promise you will be both practical and actionable. So, let's start. Let me start today's session with a story. Imagine you have just landed in Las Vegas for a conference and you walk into your hotel, which is one of the largest resort chains in the city. But when you get to the front desk, the system is down. The staff can't check you in. Guests are stranded in the lobby because their digital room keys don't work. Slot machines in the casino are frozen. ATMs are out of service. Even restaurant reservations can't be processed. It feels like the entire hotel has come to a halt. This isn't a scene from a movie that I'm sharing with you. This has happened in September 2023 at MGM Resorts, one of the biggest casino and hospital companies in the world. A group of cyber criminals, they managed to infiltrate their systems, not through some high-tech super virus, but through a very, very simple trick. And that trick is social engineering. Yes, it is social engineering. They posed as an employee and convinced a help desk worker to reset the credentials. From there, everything fell apart. And you won't believe this attack lasted for over a week. Guests were frustrated, operations were disrupted, and MGM Resorts, they ended up losing over $100 million. Beyond the financial cost, the reputational damage was massive. Customers begins to question if such a large tech-driven company could be taken down so easily. What about everyone else? So, why this story is important for us today? Because it perfectly illustrates the cybersecurity landscape of 2025. Businesses are reliant on digital transformation. Businesses are reliant on cloud platforms. IoT devices. These cloud platforms are connected to IoT devices. They are reliant on AI-driven services, remote operations. And these technologies bring huge opportunities. But these technologies, cloud-based or IoTs, they are also expanding the attack surface. Attack surface is very important because in many ways, organizations are still unprepared for. They don't know because this is something which is invisible. They are using the technology in every sense they can. So this MGM attack reminds us in a world where everything is digital, even one weak link, like a single phone call to a help desk, can shut down an entire organization. And that's what we are going to explore today. How digital transformation is reshaping the security needs in 2025, the key drivers of the change, the risk we are facing, and the strategies organization must adopt to not just survive, but thrive in this new environment. Let's talk about the cybersecurity landscape and the emerging threats. Number one, and students, all this information is derived from the threat reports, the CrowdStrike threat reports, and various others. On the number one is your AI, which is artificial intelligence powered cyber attacks, deep fakes, automated phishing. Hmm? We are hearing this words very often nowadays. Fake audio, fake video. So we all know that artificial intelligence is very important because it helps us to detect threats faster. And AI is also, helping our blue team, the defenders, cybersecurity defenders, to analyze a massive set of data. So, what kind of data I'm talking about? See, when in an organization, there are so many tools we are using. For example, my computer browser, right? It generates data, it generates logs. Same way, the operating system logs, the router's logs, right? So many logs are being generated. And artificial intelligence, ChatGPT and Gemini, there are so many tools. They are helping the blue teams to understand this logs and massive amount of data in real time. So AI has a lot of positive effects on the blue team, the defenders. However, on the other hand, attackers are also weaponizing AI. Deepfakes, AI generated fake audio, AI generated fake video that are nearly indistinguishable from the real thing. I hope all of you would have, um, you know, uh, seen some of the deep videos, fake videos which are there in the social media. Just imagine, right? A CEO's voice on a conference call asking the finance team to approve a wire transfer. Imagine that. If the voice is a deep fake, the entire organization could be defrauded in minutes. In fact, in 2023, a British company lost over 2 million, approximately $2 million due to a deep fake voice mimicking its CEO. So it's a real case. Automated phishing is another big concern. And the same is, your ransomware, which is targeting critical infrastructure and the supply chains. Ransomware, right? Which is it's a malware. Malware is something which is malicious, right? It's a malicious software. That's what ransomware means. And it's asking, and why we call it as ransomware? Because it asks for ransom. Now, this ransomware has also evolved. This is 3.0 version. So now instead of, simply locking up files on a single company's computer, attackers are targeting critical infrastructure. They are targeting supply chains. For example, Colonial Pipeline attack in 2021. This attack, this attack shut down the fuel distribution along the east coast of the US. And this caused widespread panic and shortages. That was just the beginning, In 2025, ransomware groups are now focusing on healthcare systems, logistic networks, and cloud service providers. So basically, attackers, they are focusing on the systems where downtime can cause massive real world disruption. And students, a new tactic has evolved, which is called as double extortion. So attackers, like in ransomware, what happens? Attackers, they encrypt the data, they encrypt the file. So if a ransomware attack happens on your computer, all your data would be encrypted. It won't be, you cannot access it unless and until you pay the ransom. It's real life kidnapping, right? Extortion. So this ransomware, the double extortion, which is there now. So even if you have backups, your sensitive information can still be exposed. That's why this ransomware has become a national security issue, not just a business problem anymore. IoT vulnerabilities, smart homes, connected cars, healthcare devices. IoT, Internet of Things. We all know IoT devices are booming. We have Alexa. In fact, I have one Alexa in my house too. We have smart bulbs, Philips, right? And we have smart cars. We have smart refrigerators. They just take our instructions and they start doing, right? Most of the people, they are now preferring smart bulbs. Why they are preferring smart bulbs? Because these smart bulbs, they save a lot of electricity and they save a lot of money. Why? Because they get charged through the router. They are connected to the router, right? They use certain protocol which is called as Zigbee protocol, right? So we teach all these things, right? At Regenesys, we teach all these technical things to our students. So, you know, um, from smart fridges to fitness trackers, right? Apple watches, to the connected cars and the hospital equipments, billions of devices are now online. Now, what's the problem here? The problem is that these devices have weak or no security. How many of you actually, bother to change the IP addresses of your routers? How many of you know how to change the IP address of I'm sorry, the password of a router, or how to make your home router secure? If you buy a security camera or you buy a CCTV camera, you know that your CCTV camera is also vulnerable. How many of you have bothered about changing the default configurations? We just buy what is available in the market, the technology, but we don't spend time on understanding how to secure it, how to change the default configurations. And that's where the issue is. Right? So, these default credentials, right? These exhibit the exploits, that vulnerabilities, the weaknesses that are exploited by the hacker. Right? So 2016 Mirai botnet DDoS attack. Very, very famous attack. If you read about this case study, you will understand that, how insecure IoT devices can be. What they did, right? All across the world, they identified uh, uh, all the insecure devices. And how to do that? We have tools like Shodan, Shodan. Google Shodan tool, open that tool, and in the filter in the search bar, just type, um, you can type default passwords, right? And it will bring up all the devices which have default passwords. So this attack, right? This attack was a major attack. They hijacked all the insecure IoT devices. And by 2025, we know there are more IoT devices in the circulation. So the stakes are much higher. And every connected device, every device that's connected to the internet, it has a potential entry point for the attackers. What next? We have quantum computing threats. Now, quantum computing, that once that comes into picture, it's, this word quantum computing might sound futuristic, but it's advancing very quickly. And that's why it is a cybersecurity tech, because today's encryption, that's the backbone of secure communication on which your internet relies, right? As of now, we know that RSA algorithm or AES algorithm, they are hard to break. However, students, once this quantum computing comes in, all these would be very easy to break. It would be very easy for the quantum computers to scale a brute force attack. Quantum computers can crack RSA, they can even crack ECC encryption, right? And your online banking, VPNs, digital certificates all rely on encryption. So that means once quantum computing comes in, everything is vulnerable. Your financial transactions, emails, government secrets, everything will be vulnerable. So that's what would be called as a post-quantum era. Students, in 2022, your NIST, but in 2022, NIST, it has started post-quantum algorithms. They have started working on post-quantum algorithms. But this migration is going to take years of efforts. So I hope you all know about NIST. This is National Institutes of Standards and Technology. This provides a framework, guidelines for a lot of cybersecurity things. And if you want to learn about cybersecurity, find out all the standards, right? Risk assessment standards, incident response and detection standards, everything that's available online, right? So just do little more exploration about NIST. So quantum threats are not science fiction anymore. They are looming reality. Now let's talk about what are the key drivers of the current landscape. Because when we know about the key drivers, we can do little efforts in strengthening our systems. What's the first one? It's cloud adoption and multi-cloud complexity. That's the first one. Now, cloud adoption is no longer optional. Yes? See, I have so much of data on my machine. I'm taking so many classes, my PPTs. I have to save them on cloud. I don't have sufficient space on my computer. So cloud adoption is a backbone of digital transformation. Individuals, businesses, they are using cloud services for everything, from storage to AI model training. But most organizations don't just rely on one cloud provider. They use several clouds. And that's what is called as multi-cloud environments. Now, why multi-cloud environment? Why organizations want that? Because this brings flexibility, right? For example, we have AWS, we have Azure, we have Google Cloud, right? There are so many which are there. right? So now in order to optimize your finances, you can take up some services from AWS, some from Azure, some from Google. That's how I'm doing, right? I'm also using Microsoft's OneDrive. I'm also using Google's Drive, so that I don't pay a lot to only one cloud drive, and I'm able to save all my data in different locations. But while it increases flexibility, while it's easy on your pockets, it has its own, complexities. It brings complexities. And attacker, they exploit these gaps. A misconfigured storage bucket on one cloud can expose sensitive customer data. And by 2025, managing this cloud complexity is one of the top challenges for cybersecurity teams. Second one, what's the key driver? That's your remote hybrid work. Now, the shift to remote and hybrid work is permanent, we see now, and employees, they access the corporate data from coffee shops, from airports, or from home networks, but that may not be secure because each of these connections is a potential attack vector. Think about, employees who are reusing the passwords, connecting over unsecured Wi-Fi, or, storing company files on personal devices. During the pandemic, the COVID-19, phishing attacks, they skyrocketed because attackers knew employees were isolated from IT support and more likely to, make mistakes. So in 2025, it's important that organizations must design security for a workforce that is everywhere and not just inside the office. What's the third one? Explosion of IoT devices. We have already discussed IoT vulnerabilities, but let's frame it as a driver of change. By 2025, it is estimated that over 75 billions of connected devices, would be there globally. And this explosion of IoT devices is driven by smart cities, autonomous vehicles, and digital health technologies. Each of these devices generate data, communicates with cloud systems, and it also expands, the digital footprint of the organizations. But many IoT devices, they are designed for convenience, not for security. Remember this, because there is mass production of IoT devices. Organizations, manufacturers, they manufacture IoT devices in huge. They don't bother about the security. They just give default credentials and they give it to you, right? So we must view every new device as both an opportunity and a risk. What's the last one? It's AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning integration in business, and cyber defense. So we know that AI and ML, they are transforming both business and cybersecurity. And companies, they use AI to, optimize supply chains, personalize customer experiences, and automate decision making. So in cybersecurity, AI helps detect anomalies and also respond faster to threats. But there is a catch. AI also being used by the attackers. And this creates, an arms race. AI versus AI. So for example, defenders, might deploy machine learning to spot phishing emails. But, attackers can use generative AI to craft even better phishing campaigns. So what I mean to say is that, AI is reshaping the battlefield. And by 2025, cybersecurity professionals must be fluent in both its promise and its risk. So students, when we, look at the key drivers of change, cloud, remote work, IoT, or AI, ML, we can see, why the emerging threats of 2025 look the way they do. Each driver expands the digital surface area, and each threat exploits in its new ways. And the big picture is clear. As our technology is evolving, so must our security strategies. Now, what are the rising threats in AI and cloud in environments? So, in 2025, attackers are no longer just human hacking type commands. They are increasingly, using AI. They are creating deepfakes, automated phishing attacks, and bypass traditional defenses. For example, a security researcher, right? They have demonstrated that AI-based phishing campaigns have 70% higher success rate. So an AI-based phishing campaign, right? They have 70% higher success rate than traditional spam. So you can imagine how AI is actually helping the cyber attackers. And then data poisoning and model manipulation. This means that, the attackers, they deliberately insert malicious or misleading data into AI training sets. Now we all are using AI, right? Chat GPTs and all. Imagine if someone corrupts the chat GPT and you are asking a question, you have started relying on chat GPT blindly, right? And the chat GPT or AI starts returning you incorrect information and you start blindly, following it. That can also lead to a lot of issues. So in 2024, researchers have shown that by just 1% of corrupted data, right? Just 1% of data corruption in the AI, right? That's sufficient to make the complete model unreliable, right? Imagine, a hacker is using AI chat GPT and keep on giving, incorrect or malicious information because the AI is building through the data what we are giving them, right? And if they start doing it in a lot of big force, right? So they can trigger AI to behave in a certain way that they want to. So that's one. Shadow AI or unauthorized tools. So employees, right, today they are using chat GPT tools. They are using cloud-based AI models, or they are using browser plugins without official IT approval. And this we call as shadow AI. For instance, there is a marketing manager, and marketing manager, he pastes confidential customer data into chat GPT to generate a report, right? It saves time. Many of you must be doing that. But what happens to that data? That's a sensitive data which the marketing manager has just shared in the chat GPT. If this data is stored on a third party server, the company have just suffered a data leak without realizing it. Yes. So in real case, right, in 2023, you can explore it, right? The Samsung engineers, what they did, they accidentally leaked source codes by putting it into ChatGPT, right? So this highlights that how even well-meaning employees, right, they can put sensitive data at risk when AI tools aren't governed properly. There are cloud misconfigurations as well. Despite, billions of dollars invested in cloud security, misconfigurations remains the number one cause of breaches. And this includes the storage bucket, S3 buckets. You can read about it, right? Mismanaging API permissions or granting over privileged access to data. For example, 2024, very interesting case. Students do read about it, and that's your AWS S3 buckets. You know what they did? They exposed over 3 million medical records. 3 million medical records from a US healthcare provider. No sophisticated hacking was needed. The door was simply left unlocked, right? And this shows that the basics like secure defaults, the regular audits, they still remain critical. Supply chain risk. These are another rising threats, right? So in the cloud and the AI world, we rely heavily on third-party vendors, whether for APIs, pre-trained AI models, or external data sources. But each of these vendors becomes, part of the attack surface. I think none of us would have forgotten the solar winds attack, 2020. It's a most famous, or you call it as infamous attack. Here, the attackers, they compromised a widely used software updates. And this impacted thousands of organizations because SolarWinds, is a major supply chain provider. Shared responsibility confusion. This is the major confusion. This happens in our families also, right? So we don't know what, we are not very clear on what we need to do, and we partners, right, husband, wife, we also sometimes make mistakes. So this cloud providers, right, like AWS, Azure, and Google, right? So they are meant for securing the infrastructure, data centers, physical servers, and core networking. But customers, right, they are responsible for securing their applications, data, and access policies. But when you are storing data into cloud, organizations forgot, okay, we have stored it on the cloud, now it's the responsibility of the cloud. But this confusion leads to the gap, right? They have their own responsibility, you have your own responsibility. You need to ensure that you are doing your own work, right? For example, Microsoft in 2024, they disclosed their AI data leak. Do read about it. Very important. It's Microsoft AI data leak, right? And they just disclosed the part of the issue was that the customers were not aware of how much responsibility they had in configuring, the secure access to cloud hosted AI resources. So it's very critical to understand security in the cloud is a partnership, not a complete responsibility of your. So this is your case study, which I would like you to do little explore on, and that's on AI chatbot data leak March 2024. Very, very important. So what happened in March 2024? Security researchers from Viz, right, they discovered that Microsoft had accidentally leaked 38 terabytes of private data, internal data, through an SAS token, right? Now that this data, which was leaked, it included private backups, internal code, and all the secrets. So what went wrong? It wasn't a sophisticated hack. It was just a misconfigured SAS token. The SAS token was not configured well, right? Basically, a cloud storage link that was set to give a full public access. And this token was shared inside a GitHub repository, right? And which was connected to Microsoft's AI research team, right? So you can just think of it as like, leaving the keys to your entire office building taped to the front door with a note saying that please don't take the keys. These are my keys. So this risk was huge. Students, do read about it. Okay, we'll quickly talk about data privacy and regulations and right, global privacy and regulations, right? So in today's, interconnected digital economy, data protection and the privacy laws, they are no longer optional, right? The private privacy regulations are mandatory. And it's important that the organizations, right, they comply with these regulations. So frameworks like GDPR in Europe, we have CCPA in California, we have PDPA, India's Digital Personal Data Protection Act. We have HIPAA, which is worldwide, European Union, right? There's so many which are there, right? Now, these are very, very important, and organizations have to comply. All these, give you information about baseline security, right? That organizations needs to implement. So compliance is not just about avoiding penalties, right? Remember this. It's about earning customers' trust. And when the organizations are transparent and they practice data minimization, they encrypt sensitive information and, ensure proper consent management is done, they show accountability. And the challenge is that this is an evolving legal framework. Cross-border data flows face restrictions, and especially with emerging AI laws. And as this generative AI systems, right, they are increasingly relying on vast data sets, questions about consent, data ownership, and bias are becoming central to the compliance. So ultimately, treating compliance as a business strategy is not just a checkbox. It gives organizations a competitive edge. Now, customers are more willing to engage with the brands that demonstrate the value privacy. So, if you know that Amazon are following the laws, they are following the regulations, right? So, you would be right going to Amazon rather than Flipkart. Or if you see that, if you come to know that Amazon has, you know, um, suffered a data breach, you will hesitate, to do any kind of transactions with Amazon. And that's what, trust, reputation is all very important. Coming to a quick, I'll quickly explain you about this story as well. This case study, Facebook. In 2023, Meta, which is Facebook actually now known as Meta, right? This was hit with a staggering 1.2 billion fine, pounds fine, right? And this was just not the penalty, it was the largest GDPR fine ever issued, the fine by GDPR. Why? Because, this Meta, they kept transferring the personal data of the European users to United States. They kept on transferring that behind the channel. Right? So, in simple terms, right, the rules about whether the data could safely leave Europe were unclear, but Meta went, ahead anyway. And the impact was massive. The billion-euro fine, obviously, that's very, very huge fine. And this led Meta to rethink its approach on storing and protecting data. And GDPR, apart from the fine, they forced Meta to make structural changes in how and where user information should be handled correctly. And they had to commit to much stricter privacy safeguards. So now here's the real lesson, students. If a giant like, Meta, Facebook, one of the most powerful companies in the world, can face such a huge penalty, then no organization is safe from scrutiny. Cross-border data compliance is not a small legal detail. It's a serious, serious business risk. Right? So students, why, you can see that, now there is so much opportunity with the landscape, with the environments that organizations are using, with the privacy regulations. I hope you all can now see the picture that there is huge cybersecurity force requirement. Organizations, they need cybersecurity professionals. They need people who can handle the incidents. They need people who can secure them. They need people who understand these regulations, who understand these standards. So there is a huge potential, a huge, workforce is required in this domain. Let's talk about something, another, very important, zero trust architecture. All of you would have heard about it, zero trust architecture, ZTA. What does it mean, ZTA is no more a buzzword. Now it's a fundamental shift in how we are thinking about the cybersecurity. Traditionally, organizations, they relied on firewalls. They used to assume that, Um, if someone is inside the network, they can be trusted. But in today's world of remote work, cloud adoption, and sophisticated attacks, right? This assumption no longer holds. And zero trust architecture, it is something which exists. Never trust, always verify. Every user, every device, every application must prove who they are and what they are allowed to do every single time. Every single time. You cannot just assume that, the application is switched on, so it is correct. IAM, identity and access management. So zero trust architecture highly leverages on IAM to enforce strong authentication, least privilege access, MFA. ZTA also uses micro segmentation, right? So isolate networks, segment the networks into smaller parts. Why microsegmentation is important? Because even if an attack compromises one part of the system, they can't move freely across the network. And it also emphasizes on continuous monitoring because the threats don't come from outside, they can be internal as well, right? And here's why, it matters right now. With cloud and hybrid adoption, which is becoming a norm, the old perimeter based firewalls, they can collapse, and regulators have also noticed this fact too. In fact, in US government was issued an executive order in 2021, right? And they mandated federal agencies to adopt zero trust principles. So, as per FISMA, FISMA is Federal Institute of, these are also one of the laws which are applicable on in US federal agencies. So they by 2021 they have made it stricter that every federal organization in US has to follow zero trust principles by 2024, all the organization. And that's what we see, that many private organizations are following the suit. So zero trust architecture isn't about technology, it's about the mindset, it's about the culture. Now organizations are proactively following it because now regulatory push is also there. So students, you can see there is lot of opportunity for you in cybersecurity domain. So Department of Defense, right? They have also in 2024, they have also adopted this zero trust strategy with a clear roadmap. You can read about it online. Now, what are the practical skills that we are looking at? The organizations are looking at, right? So there are a lot of skills. The first thing is foundation knowledge. Everything starts with basics. So you need to have strong networking knowledge like TCP/IP, DNS, routing. Use Cisco Packet Tracer. I would say, the packet tracer, that's very important, PT. Download it, start working on it, right? You need to know operating systems, Kali Linux, Windows, Mac OS, scripting languages, right? Python. You need to know what is PowerShell, how to use it, and all that. Then apart from that, offensive security, that's the next one, right? So to defend well, you must understand attack techniques. You need to learn the tools like Nmap, Metasploit, Burpsuit, Wireshark, right? And all of them we teach at Regenesys in our courses. Defensive security, right? Familiarize yourself with EDR, endpoint detection and response, SIEM platform like Splunk, Elastic Stack. You have Wazoo and various IDS and IPS, right? Surikatas, knots. Learn how to ingest logs, create meaningful alerts, write detection rules like Yara and all, right? Then vulnerability management, tools like Nessus, OpenVAS, right? They are core to vulnerability management program. So you have to learn how to run scans, interpret the common CVSS scoring systems, right? And then it's equally important to understand how to prioritize all these vulnerabilities, right? Next is your cloud and DevSecOps. Since most of the organizations, they're on cloud now. So it's important to know how cloud workloads differ. So key skills like using CSPM, right? There are the tools using which you can discover the misconfigurations, scan the infrastructure as a code, right? And learn the cloud providers IAM model, practice least privilege rule design, right? So all that is very important. Digital forensics and IR. So when a breach happens, you need to perform forensics, right? And handle the evidence. So there are tools like autopsy, volatility, right? Incident response, playbooks. So you need to learn how to capture memory safely, how to preserve the logs, how to follow on incident response playbooks, right? How to identify, how to contain, how to eradicate, how to recover, right? All that you need to learn. Then identity and access to understand what is IAM concepts, multi-factor authentication, single sign-on, least privilege, privileged access management tools. So all these are very important. Threat intelligence and hunting. So threat means, turning alerts into context. So learn basically open source intelligence techniques, right? Understand threat feed, use Yara signature for malware, right? Understand what is indicators of compromises and all that. Cryptography and secure coding, you don't need to be a cryptographer, but you need to understand what is TLS, what is key management, what is code review, what is, static application security testing, dynamic application security testing. And then soft skills and governance, you need to understand the risk assessment, communication policy, and legal compliance, hands-on practices, labs, CTFs, right? Capture the flags, cyber ranges, generate a home lab, right? Kali, pfSense, ELK. You can also look for some free tools like Try, Hack Me, Hack the Box, right? They are really important. You can look into them, right? And then obviously the last one is certifications and continuous learning. Try to get the certifications, right? Like CompTIA is there, says OSP, but these certifications would be meaningful once you have the basic knowledge, right? Cybersecurity is also there in the critical sectors, right? Like it is there in government, it is there in healthcare, and it is in finance. So in government, it basically holds the citizen records, and in finance, all the payment systems, healthcare, right, medical devices, and everything, right. So across all these three sectors, right, a few patterns they repeat: reliance on third-party providers, misconfigurations in the cloud, and the growing sophistication of ransomware supply chain attacks. So defenses that matter include, zero trust architecture and have strict vendor risk programs, network segmentation, do tabletop exercises, have robust backup and recovery plans, and continuous threat intelligence. So all these are very, very important. And some of these case studies are really important, right? Like from the government, you have your uh, Sweden, right? National Digital Service Provider ransomware attack. This was January 2024. So in 2024, a ransomware attack, right, targeted Sweden's digital government service provider. Do read about this case study, very important. Then from the finance, uh, 0-day vulnerability in this Move It managed file transfer product was exploited by Clop, right? So do read about it because that's very interesting case study. Then from the healthcare, right? Change Healthcare, United Health. So this is a major ransomware attack. And this United Healthcare or Change Healthcare, they are just the payment processing organization, right? So all the bills and all, they are responsible for clearing. They're just a I'm sorry, I just lost the connection in between. So I hope I'm audible now. And let me share my slide again. Okay, so do go through these case studies. Now, what are the pathways to upskill in cybersecurity? Have a foundational knowledge, that's very important, right? Every cybersecurity starts with basics. Understand how networks, how operating systems work, how data flows between the systems, and with a strong grasp of networking protocols, firewalls, and authentication, you would be able to move on to the next one. Have certifications and formal training, right? Hands-on experience is very important. Build your own lab, or you can use platforms like Hack the Box, Try Hack Me, right? Use tools, right, like Wireshark, which is open source tools. Let me write it down, right? Hack the Box is good. Try Hack Me. Then tools like, Wireshark, Metasploit, have Kali Linux, build your own lab, install a virtual software, build your own lab, right? And right, select the specialization area, right? Whether you are going to into cloud security, whether you want to be in threat intelligence and incident response, whether you want to be in AI in cybersecurity, you want to be in the governance side of cybersecurity. So please decide the specialization area, and continuous learning and networking is very important. So right? Whatever skills you have learned 2 years ago may not be enough for today. So continuous learning, do research, read the threat reports like, CrowdStrike threat report, learn about the new tools, attend the conferences, attend the webinars, right? Because in each webinar, you may come to know about new knowledge, right? Join the communities, right? Like OWASP, and you can also join the community like Isaka, because they provide a space to exchange the ideas and, stay plugged into the lower in the latest threats. So basically, cybersecurity scaling is not a one-time project, it's a cycle, and you need to be part of it. So at Digital Regenesys, right, we let me talk about this incredible opportunity. So we have designed a cybersecurity course that runs for 6 months, and it's flexible, it's expert led. And why? Because demand for cybersecurity professionals is very, very high, right? And everyday organizations are battling more complex threats, and they need skilled experts who can lead the fight. So this course isn't just about theory, it's about, right, hands-on. There are 3 modules, what you see here, and you will be diving into everything, right, from fundamentals concept, governance in the basic module, to threat hunting, password protection, Linux security, and network security, SOC operations, SIEM, EDR, and in the advanced module, by the end of the advanced module, you would be having very, very good hands-on knowledge. So it's a full journey that takes you, from the foundation to the leadership skills ready. And the best part, by the end, you will not only understand, right, how to defend digital assets, you will be also equipped with confidence and applied strategies to lead cybersecurity efforts in your organization. So, if you have been looking for the right moment to upskill, stay ahead of trends, and to position yourself as an indispensable professional in this field, and this is it, right? So we are operating in various countries: South Africa, India, Croatia, Tanzania, Nigeria, Kenya, and these are the different courses we offer. So I invite you to join us at Digital Regenesis. Let's build not just the secure systems, but also the secure careers and a safer digital future together. Secure your career and secure digital, um, this. So thank you all. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience. I hope this session sparked new ideas and inspiration. And if you would like to learn more about our programs or speak with our team, do visit us at Regenesys. And please do share some ideas if you want to have webinars on any particular topics in future. Do share your thoughts over that also, right? And we look forward to connecting with you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. And hope to see you all at Regenesis in future courses. Bye bye. Take care. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Regenesis team, for allowing me to share this webinar. Bye bye. Take care.
कहीं नहीं है आपका मैं वही तो बोल रहा हूँ